Howdy y'all, I am Ice Gold, and yeah, I'm ranting about ice again. One of the many problems that we have has gotten worse, undeniably, and that is our stat problem. Now, there's a couple ways to really look at this. There's the PvE stat problem, where it's like, even though the soft damage cap is now 237, Ice can barely hit that, even with the absolute highest damage set that I have posted on my channel before. And even then, if we hit it, we only have 19 Pierce, so it's like, it's not even good anyway. But that's mainly just the PvE part of it. That's it's really just not great that we have to just deal with considerably lower stats than all the other schools, because all the other schools, you know, they can get way higher damage than us, or I guess now it's the same damage with way more Pierce, which matters a lot when you're farming in a world like Wallaroo. And yeah, it's tough. With standard mode of the Nightmare presumably out today, Joel said he was gonna put the patch out, I guess technically this morning as you watch this, but with the standard mode of the Nightmare out, the PvP and advanced content stat caps, those won't apply, so the, you know, PvE damage cap will begin applying, being 237 now. Ice, as I've said a million times, just has the worst stats in the game, and it kind of has something to do with just our identity as a school. Ice is meant to be the tank school, meant to withstand all attacks, that type of deal. It's like we're supposed to be the tank role, but as time has progressed, damage has undoubtedly become king, especially in the third arc. That was where it really started. Ice is really just a complete joke. It is, like, far and away the worst school at max level in PvE, which just sucks in my honest opinion. I kind of hate that about it, but most of the reason why I wanted to make this video was because the new advanced content stat caps have just dropped. These apply to PvP and raids and all the other stuff that constitutes advanced content, and I'll throw it up on screen right now. And if you take a look to the resist section, you will see that Ice's resist, which is our, you know, main stat, has gone up by 5 compared to, you know, before the Nightmare patch got added in. Mainly due to the fact that the hats, like the Stalker hats and Jabalba hats that I don't have yet because they cost 17 whole shards to upgrade in the raid, and I hate that, but our resist cap has gone up considerably, and you know, that's our main stat. It would make sense for that to increase the most out of everybody, but our damage and our Pierce have gone up the least out of everybody. We used to have, you know, 175 damage and 45 Pierce, but now we have 176 damage, an increase of 1, and 47 Pierce, an increase of 2. So we're still getting shafted. We're still getting pretty shafted, and it is very hard for an Ice to win in PvP as a result of this, because if you take a look at the Pierce row here, everybody's Pierce went up considerably compared to before, and that, like, directly, it's almost as if our resist buff that we got this update just never happened. It's like Ice's resist versus Fire's Pierce, Fire being the highest Pierce school in the game. Fire used to have 62 Pierce, and now they have 68, so they gained 6 Pierce to our 5 resist. So that's real fun, ain't it, right? And it doesn't really seem like the damage has gone up by too much for a lot of the schools here. It's gone up by about, you know, 3-ish% for schools like Balance, you know, Myth and Fire and all that. It's gone up by 5 for Death and Storm, and only 1, of course, for Ice and Life, because we're not supposed to have damage, but it is definitely, it's like hitting is definitely the way to win, especially in this meta. So in a fast-paced meta, which I honestly do like compared to a slow-paced meta, Ice is going to be garbage. So it's like every other school is just lapping us in terms of their offensive capabilities. And our defensive capabilities are, they're really going up, but it's like the offensive stats are definitely beating out the defensive stats at this point in time. So another thing is, when I'm talking about a resist buff, Ice is not the only school that got it. Every other school got buffs to their resist as well. The Rochambeau stat wheel, I guess if you want to call it, designates, certain stats to certain schools, and Death, for example, for whatever reason, is a damage and a resist school, but they also have 57 Pierce because Wiz. But their resist went from 75 in the last update, shut the hell up, to 78. And with our Pierce only going up by 2, Ice struggles against Death more than ever now. And Ice is supposed to counter Death, but we just don't. It's like Death is just a better school objectively than us. But we can win if we play correctly, but it's that whole theme of playing better and still losing. That's sort of become a constant with Ice here, so it kind of just is what it is. And on top of that, the resist buffs seem to be unintentionally benefiting the other schools more than Ice, because right now I plan to use the Dreamstalker hat for max level PvP, because it gives something like, I think, 19 resist, if I recall correctly. I haven't really done the Nightmare yet. I haven't really cared enough until standard mode drops, which is probably today, but still, 19 resist here. But it's like the other schools are also getting crazy resist like that. And when you factor in the best gear pieces, right? It's like one of my friends uses the new Skyfarer equivalent, I think the Wastelander pack it's called. He uses that hat, and he gives up defensive stats like resist for, more offensive stats, a power pin, a good pip chance, that type of thing. But okay, so the point that I'm trying to get at here is that even though Ice's gear got, more resist than everybody else's, we still struggle to hit our cap. The resist cap has historically been arguably one of the hardest to hit, as you'll see here. Once I upgrade my hat, my resist will only go to 83, and which is not, the 85 that would be preferable. And, as an Ice, due to our card library issue, running 4-piece Shad is honestly advisable, which is what I plan on doing. The Dreamstalker gear does give Shads, and running a lot of Shad rating and a lot of pip conversion is kind of the name of the game if you're an Ice right now in PvP. And, high crit block rating is also really good. It's like, you gotta really play to your strengths here, and our strengths is Abominable Weaver, Frost Beetle and Steel Ward, and just being able to generally tank, and that's super duper helpful. But in the pursuit of getting these essential stats, we give up a little bit of resist. The Nightmare coat that you see here gives 1% more resist, and I could equip it, but my Pierce goes down, my pips go down even further, my accuracy goes up, even though once I get the Stalker hat I won't need that extra accuracy because I'll just suck at a jewel somewhere. And most importantly, my shadow pip rating goes down. And as I've said before, Abominable Weaver is an extremely important spell for Ice to carry, and being able to use it less is gonna hurt in the long run. So giving up that 1% resist to be able to use more Abominable Weavers and have, or be able to hit our Pierce cap is pretty essential. So it's like, we give up resist to be able to perform better overall there. Giving up health is also something that we have to do as Ices now, which is crazy to think about, but we really do have to give up some health in order to run good pip conversion on our wands. And I use the Hunhao Comet Sword and the Dreamstalker deck. The Stalker deck does help with the health a little bit, because it also gives Pizza, which is part of why I have gotten it. But it's like, Ice can't have it all. is what I'm really trying to get at here. Ice needs pip conversion a lot, which is a stat that a lot of other schools tend to give up a little more easily. But ice really needs that pip conversion. So it's like we have to give up damage in order to run more of that. And once I have my finished set, I'll have 166 damage, which is like 10 under the cap. So tough, I guess, but it is definitely worth it. If I can, pip conserve, if I can get shads and whatnot, which is, not a burden that a lot of other schools have to take. And I could talk at length about how, most of Ice's spells are 80% accuracy, which is incredibly low for a lower damage per pip school. Obviously, our gambits being even lower than that, our gambits and our shads. You kind of get the idea. It's like Ice has a real stat problem, and although our resist is supposed to be our main stat, we have to constantly give it up in favor of other stats to make sure we perform better just overall. It's like I have to run a triangle socket on my Athame still, when I could be running health with the Reaver Athame, and honestly more damage. Like I get something like 3% more damage with the Reaver Athame, which is so good, but I have to give it up so that way I can counter easier with Krakens and whatnot. So it's just, there's really so many examples that I could give where I have to just give up stats in certain places so that I can just do better elsewhere. There's really a case to be made that Ice is still worse than Storm, even after we have gotten some buffs to some of our spells. Like Colossus is 50 traps now, but I really don't see myself ever using that unless I have like Adapt, which I'd be giving up a buff, and I've been over that, It's like, that's giving up damage to be able to use utility better. So, but I don't know, maybe I'm just rambling. But Ice's stat issue has only gotten worse with this update, and I wish, Ice had the gear pieces, the, base accuracy, the card library, really, because it's like, the card library issue is why we have to run pip conversion, because all of our best spells are odd pip spells. But yeah, giving up stats, that's kind of what Ice has to be all about at the moment, so I don't know, I feel like I've rambled long enough. Moral of the story, buff Ice's stats, buff Ice's card library. It's like we have trouble hitting the one stat cap that we're supposed to hit, and Wiz, I guess. So, thank y'all for watching. I've been Ice Gold. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave like 50 comments for the algorithm. My Discord is down in the description if you want to chat with me some more, and I will see y'all later.